What about, like, as we were saying, obviously the team setup you have as a top lane is always going to affect how you play, what champions you can even play, whether you can carry the game, etc. When you were in the Misfits team, right? First of all, I will say, if you look back now, knowing what you know now, and obviously the cool thing about esports is as people accomplish things and become good, it's like their name almost gets like a little extra shine from what it was, you know. When you first had that lineup and you guys came into LCS, and obviously originally you didn't even have Maxlore, you got him like halfway through the year, and then it's like, basically, if people don't know, you sort of spiked towards the end of the split. Like the part people always forget, me, I don't, because for obvious reasons, is it was supposed to be Fnatic in that final. That was supposed to be Fnatic versus G2 and another one of those bloody finals, but you guys upset them. You went there, then you went to Worlds, you did this great accomplishment where you got out the groups, you had this great game against SKT, right? In this particular lineup, you look back now, I tell you what, mate, even though obviously this has to be at different periods in time, if every player in that lineup was actually at peak level, which would be at different periods, that's a fucking banging lineup, actually, mate. People don't remember, like, Maxlore, people now will think it's a joke, but it was pretty legit junglers back then. Obviously, Power of Evil's always been sort of good but underrated. The bot lane was Hansamu, if anything, is maybe even hitting his peak now. And then Ignar, like, if anything, he just showed in LCS again. He still has skills. Like, that's actually, I know back then it was like an underdog lineup, but that's a pretty good lineup, actually. There's some pretty good players in that team.
Yeah, no, I mean, in hindsight, the lineup is pretty insane. I mean, I obviously had a lot of faith in the roster going into the year, but for sure we were like underdogs. And the whole goal was for us to like reach Worlds. Realistically, like, you know, we knew it was like our first year, and like me and Hans were rookies. And yeah, I mean, we wanted to be like, knew we could be good. I mean, like, all had confidence, but I think we like surpassed like a little bit, like how good we did at Worlds. I mean, we still lost in quarters, like that was pretty sad, but you know, I honestly thought we were going to get 3-0'd by SKT, so
right,
it could have gone a lot worse.
Sure.
And also going into the summer playoffs, I think we had like a pretty, we made playoffs, but we didn't have like a good record. I think we were like, I don't know, like 5
I don't think you were even vaguely one of the best teams. I think you were like, like a bottom playoff team or something.
Yeah, so I think actually like I think we played Duo well, and we played Fnatic, and I think versus both of these teams, we were like supposed to lose, based on, you know, the regular split and like last split. So I think we just like found like a really good play style for us at the time. Like Maxlore started playing really good around Power of Evil, and he started like actually like doing really good mid lane, like jungle, and you know, bot lane was doing good. I was doing okay, and yeah, we started like good draft plans, and we were like I guess peaking at summer. But yeah, in hindsight, we had really insane players. I mean, obviously, I thought they were like all really good at the time too. I still think Maxlore is like he's. I mean, actually, I have no idea how he is right now, but I would have said like in the past like 1 to 2 years, he's like a little bit underrated still. But nowadays, I actually don't know how good he is.
Let me ask about him then, because obviously he's a player as well. We're actually, like at the opening of the interview, you actually played with him even before this team, way back in the day in the UK with some of those lineups, right? Yeah. He's someone you must know better than some of the others. So, like, when I did an interview with him, I think it was last year or something about this period, he basically straight up just said that, like, in this era of the Misfits team, you know, he was trying super hard and all this, but basically he says that season that, like, killed his career, the one where they had, like, the super team that went bad with Soaz and Febin, he basically just straight up said, like, he wasn't playing the game as much then, he was trying to, like, have, like, a better work-life balance or something, you know. So unfortunately, like, it does seem like he's not going to be a top pro again, and people are they've written his career off. But what was he actually like at his peak? What was he good at? Like, did you have some sort of special relationship with him or some good synergy with him in the game?
Yeah, I mean, so actually, so the thing about Maxlore was that he was like one of the first players I started playing with it on like a kind of like competitive basis. I remember I was like on some like random UK teams, just like playing like kind of, you know, rubbish UK lands and doing okay in them. And then eventually, like he was like actually like just messaged me and was like, hey, like let's play on like these like actual like more bigger like Challenger Series tournaments. And before then, I like worked with like coaches, but these coaches at the time, you know, when I'm like 15, working or like not working but playing in Challenger Series, or not even Challenger Series, like UK lands, these coaches were not like real coaches. They weren't like teaching anything actual.
Sure.
So Maxlore was like actually like one of the first guys who like really taught me about the game and like helped me like grow my understanding. Whereas before I was like a solo queue player, you know, I was just like pretty much like fresh out of solo queue. Like I had no idea what I was doing in terms of competitive. And Maxlore, he was like kind of a solo queue player too, but I think he played in Challenger Series for a bit, and he was like older, and he like had more perspective, like more understanding of the game. So he was like one of the first guys, like I think, have confidence in me and like choose me on the team. And he also like taught me a lot as like one of the first people that I played with, like help teach me. And then as for his strengths, so I thought he was like a pretty good shot caller. For his time, for like our first like few years in LCS, I think he like was like a pretty big voice early game. Which I think is really crucial as well for jungle to be. I think you have to be talking a lot as jungle. But back then, like 2017, 2018, roles were like less defined, and I think that shot calling was kind of like people just weren't as good at it. To be honest, like people like talked a lot less. I think
to have more impact if someone was good at it.
Yeah. So like Max like actually like talking and like being able to like track the enemy jungle and like helping like our lanes early game was like a really like that was like the main thing he brought to the team. And that's like why we wanted him in the first place over Kakao, because I think we finished like 4th or 3rd in spring 2017 with Kakao, and I didn't think Kakao was like bad individually. I think he was like pretty okay individually, pretty like okay to good for the league. But the problem was just that he didn't really talk too much English.
Understandable, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd come from playing with Max. Like, I knew that Maxlore talked a lot. I knew that there's like existing kind of synergy already from playing in the UK scene a bit. So I was like pushing for Maxlore pretty hard because I knew that he would be good. And I knew that he could like help us with communication, which I thought we really needed. And I think that was like his main strength, that he was not afraid to like try to take charge, even though he like made some bad calls. Sometimes, I mean, happens. I think he was like a bit of a leader in like the early Misfits, I suppose. And yeah, he like was like one of the first pros to like try and teach me more about the game. So that's how I'd sum up Maxlore.
Right, obviously, the way the year ended, like you said, you had, if anything, an overperformance. Like, just making Worlds is a pretty good accomplishment in your first year, but you guys were out of the groups. You had this game where you almost beat SKT. Then when you come to the next year, it is a bit of an underwhelming year because people still have all this hype. And even though at the time, again, this is another one of those ones where, like, the name value doesn't count anymore. Like,